Welcome back to my channel, guys. In today's video, I'm going to be kind of doing like a little reflection of how Lent went for me. Currently, it is a couple days before Easter, and I thought that doing kind of a reflection of my Lent experience, what I gave up, and like what I learned from it is definitely something that like you guys could consider doing, and it kind of just like gives me some insight about what I did well, what I struggled with, and some new things that I learned in this season of life. So the first thing that I gave up was social media. If you watched my video last year about Lent, you would see that I gave up Instagram and like all of my social media as well. And I realized last year that I was very dependent on social media, and going off of social media for 2 months, really, or almost 2 months, it's like a month and a half. It really helped me to kind of like recenter myself and regain my motivation, especially like during March. Like it's at the end of the school year and we're all like doing the same thing every single day and we lack motivation. And getting rid of social media definitely helped me a ton with like just kind of like identifying like why I go on social media and kind of making sure that it wasn't defining who I am and taking all of my time. This year I did it a little bit different because I kept Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest for specific reasons, and then I deleted Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat. I would have deleted Instagram, honestly, but because I am a senior representative for a photography company, that was the way that she was contacting us, was through Instagram, and I had to know like if I was going to be on the team or not. And also with dance, competition season is coming up, so obviously we do communicate through Instagram. Last year when I did it, they did like text me individually, which was so sweet of them, and I love them for that. I kept YouTube, obviously, because I make YouTube videos. I watch a bunch of like Christian podcasts all the time, and it was just something that I didn't feel like was taking up so much of my time and was really like taking a toll on me that I had to like delete it. And also, a lot of my like Christian advice comes from YouTube, so I feel like deleting YouTube is kind of like a backtrack for Lent if I were to have done that, because that's where I get a lot of my like Christian content from. And then I kept Pinterest only because of like doing senior photos. I was kind of like trying to figure out what theme I wanted to do for my senior pictures, and then also my prom dress was on Pinterest, so I had to buy it. I did try to put a time limit on Instagram. I originally started with a 5-minute time limit, and that just did not work for me at all. Like after the 5 minutes, I would just like exit off the time limit and like keep scrolling through Instagram, and it just like wasn't effective. So I did amp it up to 10 minutes, and that definitely helped me a lot more. And then I definitely have been struggling with that though, because like having a 10-minute time limit, sometimes if I'm like, oh, I need to check if this person like DM'd me or whatever, and like I need a response for this or whatever, so I would go on kind of making like excuses like I need to do this and this and this on Instagram, but really in reality I could have waited until the next day to do that. So that is definitely something that I did struggle with. And originally for YouTube, I said that I was only going to watch Christian content, and I did end up changing this down the road to make sure that I was like getting the most benefit out of this. So yes, the majority, like 90% of what I watched on YouTube was Christian content, but I did kind of like open it up a little bit. So for example, instead of just strictly watching Christian content, it had to be a video that would benefit me in some way. So for example, for 40 days, I did not watch Emma Chamberlain or Gen X Pen or like any of those like YouTubers that I usually get entertainment out of. So some of the people that I did watch was like Melina Cincinnati, Sadie Robertson, like those people I binge watch. Like they are so like wise, and they're so funny also. They're so real about like being a Christian and being a human. Like Christians are not perfect, and their channel just really like brings that to life. And then another thing that I've been struggling with in this year is really my body image. For some reason this year, I just have not been like confident in myself, and that's something that's very odd for me because I've always been like super confident, and like I've always loved my body and like how I look. But over quarantine, if you guys saw my like binge eating video. I didn't have a binge eating disorder, but I was definitely eating more than I should have, and I did gain a little bit of weight over quarantine. And so my goal is to kind of just gain a good like workout routine and build a healthier lifestyle. I definitely am not living that lifestyle, and I'm definitely like now incorporating those habits into my routine, and it has made me such a happier person. I won't ramble on about that too much, but in addition to the Christian content, I also watch content about like fitness and like healthier habits to like incorporate into your life. And I didn't disclude that because honestly those videos made me feel so much better about myself, and they helped me to actually be happy with where I am and like continue to grow in strength. And I think that's super important, and I feel like knocking that out of like the videos that I was allowed to watch kind of like goes against like everything, and like especially because I know God would obviously want me to like live a healthier lifestyle. He gave us this body so that we can like honor it and treat it well because it is our physical body, and one day we won't have it anymore. So that's pretty much it for social media. I kind of just explained like why I kept some of the things and things that definitely changed down the line like with Lent. And you know what? It's okay to change things. Like if you're through Lent and you're like, I am not getting any better, like obviously there's a difference between like quitting and saying I'm not doing this anymore, and understanding the difference between like saying this is benefiting me, so why am I cutting it out? And obviously if it's bringing you closer to God, like it is going to obviously like lift you up and just make you so much happier. The next thing that I did for Lent was only listen to Christian music. Something that was on my New Year's resolution for this year was to stop listening to music that had cussing in it, because that has been something that I'm really struggling with, like turning off music when I hear cussing in it, or like putting a song that I really like not putting it on my playlist because it has cussing in it. And I just feel like that is something that I personally don't want to be listening to, is music with cussing in it. So I decided to just completely take out all music in general and just strictly listen to Christian music. And I tell you one thing, it has helped me so much with my relationship with God, and understanding that worship through music is such a beautiful thing. And like the ability that we have to worship God through music is like amazing. And honestly, I get so emotional like when I'm in the car worshiping, and like especially if I like didn't read the Bible or something that day, because it's just like gives me some like godly feelings, and I just feel connected with him, and it just makes me feel so much better. And it just keeps reminding me through music that obviously God is always with us, and he is always protecting us and comforting us. Obviously by the end of this, I definitely was like not listening to Christian music as much. So like for example, I obviously wasn't listening to any like radio music or whatever, but I started listening to more podcasts because I was like, I'm listening to the same Christian songs over and over and over again, and it honestly did kind of get like a little repetitive, and I was like, okay, these songs are starting to annoy me. So instead of listening to music in the car, I decided to listen to podcasts, and so that's when I was listening to the As For Me and My House podcast, which is by Melina and Jordan, and I love them so much. They just have so much wisdom, and even if you're not like necessarily interested in the topic that they're talking about, you can learn so much from watching their podcast, and it's just like amazing like how wise they are, and like I just see God through them so much. And honestly, if it wasn't for me giving this up for Lent, I definitely wouldn't have gained the knowledge that I have learned from the Christian music and the podcasts. Also, another podcast that I watched was Sadie Robertson. They're both very great podcasts. Hers is called Whoa, That's Good Podcast, and they're both like just so amazing. I definitely love Melina's podcast in particular because Jordan is in it, and he is like so wise, and he doesn't even have like a YouTube channel or anything, so it's nice to hear from him because I do watch Melina like on her regular YouTube channel, so it is nice to see like things from Jordan. And I've never really been like a podcast type of person, but like just like learning from them has been like amazing. From going through a lot of playlists, like Christian playlists through this Lent season. I have made a whole podcast, not podcast, I have not made a podcast. I have made a whole playlist on Spotify about all of my favorite Christian songs, and so I will leave that down below if you guys would like to go check that out. They honestly just have like such good songs about like, I don't know, some of the songs are a little bit cliche, but I mean sometimes you have to be a little bit cliche and simple to get the point of the story, you know what I'm saying? That is it for this video, guys. Comment down below what you guys gave away for Lent, or if you will be considering doing one of these next year for Lent. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. Have a blessed day, guys.